So, Christie, there's a lot of competition in all of the businesses I think you've been a part of on both sides of the equation. So could you talk to us about creating a unique value proposition? How do you cut through the noise in the marketplace? Your customer acquisition strategies that you use, what you're using right now. Love to hear more about that.
You bet. Do you want me to jump over to validation too, or separate?
Yeah. Let's hear about how you consider all the things you could build, right? Because this is one thing that's near and dear to your heart, but I think a lot of innovators are considering their options in terms of where do I spend my time, my energy to create value. So how do you strategically make that choice, and then how do you go about validating, is this the right choice, and how do I beat my competitors out of the marketplace?
Yeah. Okay, very good. I asked because those two are kind of tied together. You have to start with the right foundation, otherwise you can't just try and make it happen at the end, right? So it's a part of it is in the strategy of what you decide to innovate on and what you decide to create. So, like I said, I mentioned to you guys how much I love mascara, right? I'm not a super makeup-y person, but I am definitely a mascara person. So a part of it was, again, for me personally, I would love to have an opportunity to create massive impact in this world. And I know I have a talent in building community and in sharing the principles of emotional intelligence in a way that can help other people get more peace between their ears, is the way I like to think of it. And so for me, building this company gives me the opportunity to deliver on my core passion. It also was something that, mascara is a commodity that over 100 million women use on a daily basis. And so it becomes something that is able to have a level of reach and stickiness that is not available in a lot of other areas. So the way that I thought about this was, like I said, it was almost 3 years ago that, this is random, I had just had a sinus surgery and I was listening to podcasts. So I had a moment to slow down in life, which I think was kind of key for me because I tend to just run at a clip. And so taking the moment to really sit back and think about what I might innovate on if I decided I wanted to again. I'm going to share a secret with you guys, and that is that company building is really freaking hard. And it's really torturous, and it's so worth it, but it's a really, really intense journey. And so for me, I wasn't itching to start a company. I was very happy. I have, the last 5 years, I've been running these CEO peer circles. So for the top software startups in town, we get the founders together once a month, spend a half a day, and help them help each other grow. So it's kind of like having grandkids to me, where I get to sugar them all up, but they go up and stay awake all night, and I would go home and sleep really well, right? I was very comfortable with this version of being involved in entrepreneurship. But when I had this idea, it felt like a golden, like a yellow brick road to me, gold paved pathway here, right? Where I could see, wait a second, some of the innovations that I hypothesized around with mascara, one of them was the fact that it was maybe 7 or 8 years ago that they first started putting smaller mascaras in gift sets, right? So for those of you that aren't too familiar with mascara, bear with me, you're gonna learn in a second. Mascara is typically about this long, and in gift sets, it's about this long. So just for the heck of it, so I could make a joke, I looked up who has the earliest patent I could find on a mascara brush wand. It's a dude. So someone decided that our hand should be way out here when we're applying our mascara, when in fact, having it right next to your eye gives you better hand-eye coordination, gives you better angles, lets you just create better results, right? Additionally, mascara is a wax-based product that you open and close the container multiple times every single day, actually multiple times a day, so air gets in there and it thickens up, right? So no one actually throws away a mascara because it's empty and they've run out. It's because one day it just magically tips and now it's dry, nasty, clumpy, and gross, and you can't really use it to do this delicate work on your lashes anymore. So for me, I saw those things and I didn't really realize I was experiencing this frustration until it got a little bit further, where mascara also, we joke about it in pop culture, but it doesn't really often do its one job of staying on our lashes all day and not moving to our face, right? We joke about mascara running down people's faces. And I was like, why is that? I found myself trying to dip my little wand into multiple mascaras. I found myself trying to bend it just right so that I could create, the lash line. I wanted the brush to actually just follow the curvature of my eye. And so I started questioning, why are all these things not quite right on a product that is at the heart of women's daily experience? And in addition, why is it that mascara is like that one cosmetic that we go, okay, I know it's highly toxic and chemical, but at least it's not touching my face. I mean, I really need this stuff, so I'm just going to let that one pass, right? When it comes to being green or comes to being clean cosmetics. And so I saw kind of a triangulation around my personal passion as well as a product that I really felt might need some innovation. So from there, I kind of went into research mode, if I'm honest. And the way that I defined it for myself is that I tried to talk myself out of starting a company using data. And that for me was probably the best way to think about it, is how can I find the problems that would happen with trying to build this type of a company so that I can decide if I feel like the lift of what it would take to build an enterprise is really worth it. So fortunately, there are some people that put together massive amounts of data on the most obscure things. Like, I don't know how this happens in the world, but I'm really grateful it does. So I started searching, and I found on Statistica and some other areas some really interesting data. That's where I first found that mascara is a $10.3 billion market with a single product. Again, to put this in context for you, mascara is usually one of the items in a cosmetics portfolio, okay? If we think about the muscle behind innovation in cosmetics, it's very tied to fashion. It's about color, it's about trend, it's about kind of all of this dynamicism around like what's new and what's different and how can I stand out in today's world. That's similar to a lot of types of innovation, but definitely related to that in cosmetics. Mascara is this sleepy little product in the corner. Like, we just need a black mascara that stays on our lashes. It's really hard to make that new and fresh and exciting on a repeated basis year after year after year. Like in the 80s, we tried like bright blue and hot pink, but we're just not going back there. Like, color wasn't the thing to change with mascara. So again, I started realizing, okay, wait a second, what is innovation looking like in this category right now? And as I went and looked at every mascara for sale on the premium side, on the budget side, they were doing things like, if you can't really change much about the experience of it for women, then they were changing the color of the bottle. They were changing the color of the brush underneath the black goop. I'm like, okay, this is clearly like, again, the innovation muscle of a cosmetics company coming in and going, let's make it a new color to make it interesting, right? But to me, it lost the heart of what does the user need? What matters to the user in their daily habits? And that was the pain that I was feeling. But I have learned, partly through ASU, case study of one is really not a strong enough bet to build a company on. So I really went out and started surveying other people. I had some hypotheses around the idea that a shorter mascara wand would be a better experience, and that if I could clean up some of these other things, I could stand out in a very, very crowded market. So I did lots of surveys, I talked to lots of people, I really went in and, again, tried to, as objectively as possible, ask questions that weren't leading to try and really discern, like, what are the problems that you feel? What are the things that you value? What are the things that you prioritize? What are your buying habits? Like, how do you think about your buying habits with this? And then I dove even more into the data, and I found that all of the top 10 selling mascaras were budget mascaras. So that told me that even though mascara at the grocery store costs $8 to $15, and at Macy's or Nordstrom's or anywhere else with a brand on it, it costs $18 to $50, I needed to stay on the budget end because 90% of the sales, mascara had become a functional product to people. They're going to save their dollars to invest in a brand for something that's a little more fun, that gives them a different experience, not just the word Chanel on the bottle, right? And so for me to be able to create this environment where I have this ability to really create impact and have a lot of reach, I knew that for this product I needed to stay there. And when I looked at that side of the market, that's grocery store brands that have been around forever. In fact, the number 1 and number 3 selling mascaras were released 40 and 50 years ago. Like, number 3 is this little pink and green bottle that's like been in movies, and it's been around for literally 1971 is when it was released, so 50 years this year. So again, signs of a lack of innovation, right? But the fragmentation of the market is a thing. And the way that, for me, I approached that piece of it is that no one has ever taken the position of, we are the mascara experts. So when I'm pitching investors, I get a lot of questions that are like, okay, great, so you sell mascara, but what else are you going to sell? Why did you name it My Little Mascara Club? Isn't that limiting to you, right? So I have to stand back and say, okay, I understand that one of the biggest expenses in a company is the acquisition of the customer. Like, we have what we call a 4-month payback right now on our acquisitions. So if their first purchase is $15, we're spending $50 to get them. So so it's ish, 4 months ish, right? So that expense is the biggest lift of what I have when I'm spending money across things in my business. I have a very tight model with high margins on the product side, a really efficient team. Like I've got all the rest of it buttoned up because I come from this world, so I know how to do that stuff really well. But when it comes to acquisition, of course, I'm going to try and maximize the lifetime value of that customer by eventually adding other products or very complementary products. But for us to be able to stand up and say, we are the mascara experts, we are a niche play, if I showed up as another cosmetics brand, I would be one of thousands every year, and I wouldn't get any attention, and I wouldn't stand out at all in the eyes of the consumer, in the eyes of the investors, in the eyes of the press. But to be a specialist is a whole different ballgame. So again, that's a principle that you can use. Focus. I've done this before. I've made the mistake before, I should say, in another business where I had so much passion, I wanted to give everything to everyone from the get-go. But what that eats up with our resources, whether it be time or money, in creating this giant thing from the get-go, really can sabotage our ability to even lift off the ground. And when I did the analysis in the other company that I had, again, it was an alternative fitness center. I had lots of different programs under that umbrella, helping women have fun staying active. And I got really tired at one point because I hadn't done user research from the beginning. I hadn't been this disciplined with the way that I approached it. So I sat down and spreadsheeted it one day, and I found that 80% of my revenue was coming from 20% of my effort. And I was like, oh, this is what people love about us. This is what we are actually known for, regardless of the fact that I'm out here doing all this other stuff. And I can take away the decision fatigue that I'm giving them and actually get stronger in this area if I'm willing to just focus. And so for me, entering the market as a niche product is a strong differentiator. In addition, we actually, because I spent over a year in R&D really trying to formulate something with some amazing cosmetic scientists that I networked my way in to meet, we actually are right now getting global recognition for setting the new bar in mascara with our product formulation being so clean, very clean ingredients, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, like those two that I mentioned that are the number 1 and number 3, they're an 8 and a 9, 10 being very dirty ingredients. We're a 0, like we're just off the charts. Even the more modern mascaras are a 4 and a 5. So we have a lot of kind of different anchors that help us do that, but it all started with really looking at what is it about this market? What is it about this company? Where does innovation need to live in this product? And is it something that I can help solve for, right? So that was a really long answer to your question.